Hello everyone, it's me Shruti Chopra and I am back with our post-match special on India versus England's fifth test with our cricket analyst Suneer Chowdhary. Quickly digging into this one, any opening comments around this test, Suneer?
Hi Shruti. Yes, that was a depressing final day if you're an England fan, but frankly it was reminiscent of how the entire tour has gone for England. They had no business or probably very little business to lose this game after going into that lunch break, having survived the first session without loss. And as good as the Karun Nair triple century was, I thought it had given England the opening they needed to carve out a draw. And well, they botched it up so nicely for Virat Kohli and company, losing those 10 wickets in those final two sessions and 6 wickets in the last session when the pitch was still, I thought, quite docile and playable to say the least, as opposed to some of the pitches that we have seen in this series, Shruti.
Well, a painful day for Team England and their fans, but not a painful day for me. I was extremely happy, and that's all due to that test result. I'm sure every Indian feels exactly how I do. Suneer, the cricket fan in me did enjoy the match, but it's left me wondering whether it was a case of India being good or England being woeful in the series, or both, in fact. I'd love to hear your 2 cents on this.
Shruti, as a cliche usually goes in these cases, I think it was a bit of both. England played pretty poor cricket, not only in this test match. I think this test match was just symptomatic of the way they have gone about their business throughout the series, but also that India played some exhilarating stuff. Their cricket was 100% cricket, except those dropped catches throughout the series. I think the batting and the bowling really did well and did not give England too many chances. But if you were to hold a gun onto my head and ask me the question, I would say that it was more India doing well rather than England not doing too well. So if England had been able to perform as well as they had in probably the Rajkot test match, the first one of the series, or even if they had played probably as well as they did in the 2012 series, I think this Indian side would have still gone on to beat England. Probably a scoreline would not have been a 4-0 win for India, probably a 3-1 or a 2-1 with a couple of draws. But I think India really had the wherewithal, they had the team, and they had the strategies in place to beat England in this series.
Suneer, to add just one little thing to this whole conversation about England, Bob Willis said on Sky Sports, and I'd like to play this for you.
Well, Charles, you and I have sat through some embarrassing England humiliation. This one just about takes the biscuit. These millionaires with their bloated central contracts have let down the people who support them, sponsors, paying public, broadcasters. They should be ashamed of themselves. It was a desperate performance, showing no cricket intelligence whatsoever today. I gave them the benefit of the doubt last night, kept trying hard in the field. That was absolutely unacceptable as a batting performance. And they should all look at themselves in the mirror and say, we were to blame.
Wow, do you think that's Bob Vintage Willis being extremely harsh there?
Oh, well, I wouldn't say it's harsh. I think it's Bob Willis hitting the nail on its head. He has been a pretty blunt cricket analyst at that, and it's one of his vintage performances, as you rightly put it. But yes, on the 4th day, I thought England did have a chance to come back and come back home with a draw there after Virat Kohli gave them just 5 overs to bat out when he could have easily declared about an hour before that and had England all sorts of trouble. So that in that sense, yes, England had a chance. They did their best, what they could on the pitch in a dead rubber of a 5th test match. But with Karun Nair batting the way that he was, I don't think it would have made too much difference. And a score of 700 was reflective of that. What happened on the 5th day was a bit of a surprise to me. The kind of shots that were played to get out in the 2nd and the 3rd session. I mean, what was Moeen Ali doing? Was he trying to chase a score of 300 in 50 overs? What was Ben Stokes doing? You had Bairstow getting out, caught at deep mid-wicket. That was a wonderful catch, incidentally, by Ravindra Jadeja. And even Adil Rashid down the order trying to flick the ball away and getting a leading edge, getting caught off the new ball. So those are some kind of shots that you want to question the England team. What was the tactic? I know that Trevor Bayliss, their coach, usually asks his players to play their natural game, express themselves, as they put it. But to do that on a fifth day pitch where the ball isn't doing too much, it's a slow pitch, a docile surface, and you just have to survive 90 overs to see the match through. In fact, not even 90 overs. Had they gone into the final 1 hour, say 2 or 3 or 4 wickets down, I think the match would have been called off. So 75 overs in a day, and you're not able to do that? Very surprising, Shruti.
It is very surprising, but the Indian fans seem to be rejoicing a lot more than usual. Are you finding that unusual?
Usually, Indian fans, or any fans for that matter, do rejoice at the end of the series, at the end of such a big series. Especially having won it so convincingly. I thought the Indian fans had rejoiced a lot after the South Africa series as well, which they won 3-0 last year. But it was drowned in that whole saga about the pitches during that series. These pitches were pretty easy to play on. They were not your typical dust bowls that you see in Indian conditions. And what made it worse for England was the way they acknowledged, or probably did not acknowledge, the fact that Indians were a far superior team during this 5-match test series. I think it was a case of the England players failing to acknowledge that during any of their press conferences or in their chats with the media, that they had been outplayed by a far superior side. And that seems to have got the goat of many an Indian fan. I mean, winning and losing are all part of sport and all part of test cricket. But then there is a loser, and there is a gracious loser, and I don't think England fall in the latter category in this series.
Yes, we've spoken about graciousness in our earlier video, and it's always difficult to watch England behave in such a way. But I am supporting India, and I've been so pleased that India has truly performed like a team. And I'd like to just mention, as predicted, the new forced opening pair did do well. So while I continue to be pleased of this team effort, it really has been a fact, right? In Chennai, Kohli failed, Pujara failed, Vijay failed, Ashwin failed, and India still won by an innings. What do you make of that?
Well, remarkable depth for these conditions. Nasser Hussain said this in one of the post-match shows, that this isn't even India's best playing 11, and we have Shikhar Dhawan who's missing. Not sure whether he falls in that best 11 category right now, but he's obviously out injured. Ajinkya Rahane missed out from the last 3 test matches. Vridhaman Saha did not play in the last couple of test matches, and we saw that Parthiv Patel struggled with the gloves, even though he had a good time with the bat. And there were no Mohammad Shami and Jayant Yadav in the bowling attack either, and yet you look at the results. So yes, we're talking about monumental depth, especially in the batting, but also somewhat in the bowling for India in this series. And this should augur well when Bangladesh and Australia come down for their respective series, 1 test and 4 test matches respectively.
Yes, and I'm really looking forward to that. I was checking out the dates yesterday, in fact. So let's get on to some tweets that I've picked out. And as we did last time, I would like your reaction to those tweets. Are you ready?
Yep.
Great. So I want to begin with some humor. At Sagar Chasm says, Karan Nair is at 303 today, 303. Alistair Cook will be at 404 after this series. # not found.
Well, he'll not be found because England don't play a test match for about 8 months, and he doesn't play ODI cricket anymore. But yeah, jokes apart, Alistair Cook, I think he said that he'll go back and reevaluate his captaincy. I think it's time that he gives up on his captaincy and focuses on his batting, because his batting did look like it suffered during this series. He averaged about 38 or 39, which is not bad, but you expect players like Joe Root and Alistair Cook to go on and score those big centuries, and something that was missing as well. So apart from the result, the 4-0 defeat, I think Alistair Cook's batting remains the key, and in order to prolong his batting career, it would be a good decision for him to give up on the captaincy and let someone younger take over.
Right. Now, on to our second tweet. Shobit496 says, and I really like this tweet actually, 4 tosses lost, 400 plus conceded thrice in the first innings, and a series won 4-0. Let's talk pitches now. Take a bow, Team India.
Let's talk pitches now. As I earlier said that the pitches during that South Africa series last year were dust bowls and were difficult to bat on. I think even India found them very difficult to bat on. The first Test match in Mohali, India scored 200 and 200 respectively. I think 200 and 201 respectively, and went out to win the match easily. The Nagpur pitch was reported by the ICC. The Delhi pitch was so slow that run scoring was difficult again. This was nothing of that sort. These pitches out here in the England series were quite batting friendly, and for anyone to complain about pitches during the series would have been sad. Yes, 4 tosses lost. So basically, after Alistair Cook complained about the toss at the end of the Vizag test, I think he won all the 3 tosses and lost all 3 games. So that said it all.
Yes, it does. It does really not mean that if you win the toss, you win the match. You really do have to apply yourself. Now I'll move on.
In fact, Shruti, if I could interrupt,
Yep.
no, it does not, because I was just checking at the records when you win tosses in India. It does not really mean that you win matches. Australia in 2013 won all 4 tosses during that series and still went on to lose the series 4-0. They batted first in all those 4 test matches, lost all 4 test matches as well. So winning tosses is no guarantee that you will win the series. I'll add another instance. When England came down to India in 2012, India batted first in both the Mumbai and the Kolkata test match. And again, they lost both those test matches. So it was just because England played better than India in those 2 tests that they went on to win it. It was nothing to do with tosses.
Absolutely. It's how you play that matters. And moving on to how you play, I love the BCCI tweet where they call Virat Kohli in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He's at number 5 for the most test runs scored in a series in India. And Kohli did score 640 runs.
Yep, Kohli has had a great year. It's not only Test match cricket. We discussed this at the end of the previous test as well. It's not only Test cricket; it's his average of 50 across all 3 formats, and he ends this series with more than 600 runs over 5 Test matches, which I think stands at par with what he had done in the Australia series away from home. So a good series for Kohli, and you would definitely want this to continue against Bangladesh and Australia as well.
For some differing opinions now, at DEA Ardeshir, I hope I've got this right, and I'm sorry if I haven't. If England think their problems will be solved if Cook leaves, they are mistaken. Outside England, the team is simply not good enough. Whereas, your favourite, Piers Morgan says, "Oh good, one last dreadful England collapse before this debacle of tour ends. Cook had better have his resignation speech ready." Gosh, what a difference between 2 opinions.
Piers Morgan is everyone's favorite, not only mine, but I think he has, for a change, made some sense there. I think Cook needs to go back and think through about where his career is headed, whether he wants to take this team into the Ashes, which would be played in about 12 months' time, and whether he has the strength, the mental strength to try and win an Ashes series away from home. The first tweet that you said, Cook's resignation being the solution to all problems, I think he says something about problems. I think there is no one problem. I think there are a lot of problems, and Cook's captaincy is just one of them. Lack of spinners, lack of ability to play spin away from home, and a few aging bowlers in that side. So there are a lot of problems, but I think the end of Cook's captaincy era would definitely be the step in the right direction. We have a new captain, Joe Root, waiting. He takes over, probably infuses fresher ideas. We have seen what he's done during one of the stints as captain when Cook was away. He brought himself on, took a couple of wickets, which may not be an indicator about his captaincy because it's a long-term thing as opposed to those 5 or 10 minutes. But the way I look at it is that it's time for England to move on to better things. And Cook, the batsman, should not be lost either, as I said earlier. Yep, I think I go with Piers Morgan on that one.
Well, as Cook says, he has 7 months to decide and he doesn't want to rush into it. So we'll see what happens with that one. Now, that's it from us, and we will be back very soon with our preview and prediction for the Boxing Day Test match between Australia and Pakistan, which I'm sure you don't want to miss out on. So please do subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red button, and do follow us on Twitter at World Crick Chat. That's bye from us. Have a lovely day.
Bye-bye.